Bend the knee!
Valamogolas, everybody. This is Don Willie back again with another video. This one, Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 2. Will it happen in the books? So last week, I asked, questions about what will happen in the books based off of what we've seen in Game of Thrones Season 6 and, just certain events, and you can find a link to that in the cards or in the description or whatever. So this week, new episode, new events that have not happened in the books, and just going to recap and see, just what is the likelihood of these events actually happening in the books. So, one big thing that we got was Bran talking to Bloodraven, going through the trees, seeing his Aunt Lyanna, Uncle Benjen, and his father. And, they've kind of already shown a version of that. I don't think they're actually going to go back to that particular well. So, we'll move past that and we'll go to just outside the cave, because Hodor took Bran outside the cave, and, we got to see Meera talking to Leaf. I believe that's supposed to be Leaf. We haven't gotten 100% confirmation that that's supposed to be her. But Leaf tells Meera that Bran will not be staying in the trees forever. So the likelihood of that happening in the books, for me, listen, I would have to say no. I don't think that Bran is going to be leaving the trees, only because, we don't even know where Meera is right now. There's a possibility, and, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read the books yet, but there's a possibility that Meera might actually be dead. So, yeah, I just don't think that that's going to happen. But you know what? Going back to Bran's vision in the past, the one question that we will have to ask is, will we find out in the books why Hodor, who is Willis on the show, but Walder in the books, will we find out why he can only say Hodor? And I believe they're going to probably touch on that in the show, because why bring it up if you're not going to touch on that? But I would have to say, yes, we are going to find out why he can only say Hodor. But more importantly, what the hell Hodor means. For those of you who know anything about ancient mythologies of the world, I do believe that Hodor was a Norse god, and he was an evil god at that. It's either he was Norse or Celtic. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was supposed to be, an evil god. And there are many who theorize that Hodor is the name of the great other who supposedly controls the White Walkers, or is the opposition to the god R'hllor. So, and moving right along, I'm going to jump a little ahead here, because one of the craziest scenes that we got was Ramsay Bolton killing his father. And, also, also his wife, who had just given birth to a new, who would be Lord Bolton. And it's funny because it sounded like Walder called him Michael, which that would have been hilarious if that's actually true. I gotta go back and watch the episode again. But the main question is, will Ramsay slaughter the rest of the Bolton family? And for this one, I'm going to have to say no. And it's not that I don't think Roose will die. I do think that Roose will die, but I don't think that Ramsay is going to be the one to actually kill him. In the books, they have, kind of the same relationship, but it's kind of different. Roose has speculated for a while that Ramsay has probably killed his original trueborn son, Domeric. And Roose kind of doesn't seem to be fazed by it to a certain extent. It's like, yeah, he lets Ramsay know that his wife is pregnant, but he's just kind of like, well, look, Ramsay is Ramsay. If he happens to wind up killing these people off, so that he can be the Lord of the Dreadfort, then hey, it is what it is. But in the show, obviously, Roose was kind of holding that over Ramsay's head, like, yeah, my wife is pregnant, so if you don't do what you got to do, little boy over here is going to be Lord of Winterfell, Dreadfort, Warden of the North, all that. So yeah, there was, just a totally different dynamic there. Another question that we need to ask, based off of also what we got from that scene, is will the Umbers support the Boltons? And I'm going to say hell no, 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 because the Umbers had family who were slaughtered at the Red Wedding, or at least taken captive. And no, they're not going to support the Boltons in the books whatsoever. The Boltons have the Freys, they have the Karstarks, they have the Manderleys, but the Manderleys aren't really supporting them. So yeah, for that one, no, not happening whatsoever. Another one for the Iron Islands. So, will Theon be making it back to the Iron Islands? We saw him with Sansa, Brienne, and Podrick, and he's like, look, I can never truly repent for what I did to your family. So, you know what? I'm just going to go home. And they still haven't answered how the hell he's supposed to get there, but, that's neither here nor there for right now. The question is, will he make it back to the Iron Islands? For that one, I'm going to say no. And only because in the book, he's in a totally different situation. Him and his sister are captives of Stannis. And while I think he still does have some significant part to play, I do believe that, eventually, he winds up dying, probably saving someone's life. He probably is going to die saving someone's life. And so I don't think he makes it back to the Iron Islands. Sorry. But as far as on the Iron Islands themselves, there's been the question for years, how exactly did Balon Greyjoy die? Now, if you believe the prophecy from the Ghost of Highheart, it was most likely a faceless man. Some people speculate it was Euron, or that he hired some other assassin to do it, and we get that death off screen, right? So the question that we are left with is, will we get the true version of how Balon Greyjoy fell off that bridge? Was he pushed? Did he just fall? Did someone stab him and throw his body off? For that one, I think no. I think that is just going to be one of those things that George is going to leave unanswered, period, point blank. As much as it would be cool to see, I don't think he's going to give us that one, because I think for him, he's going to be like, look, I gave you all the info that you really need to figure that one out. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to get a further explanation in the books as to what happened with that one. So, another major question, and we're taking this one to the wall, is, will the wildlings take over Castle Black? Now, for the books, the last thing that we see is there's kind of a fight going on at Castle Black. Someone blew possibly the Horn of Winter or the Horn of Jormungand or whatever you want to call it. And one goes crazy. He starts beating the shit out of Sir Patrick of 9 Stars, and Castle Black kind of is erupting into a little bit of a frenzy, and that's right before John gets stabbed. Now in the show, we saw that after John gets stabbed, and his body is being protected by some of his friends, along with Davos. Uh, that the Night's Watch is attempting to take the body and complete this mutiny, and then the next thing you know, Adolor's Ed comes with some wildlings and essentially take over Castle Black. So currently, Castle Black is under the control of the wildlings, more or less, even though they are still being led by Dolorous Ed. So in the books, will this happen? You know what? I'm going to say yes. I will say yes, that the wildlings will take over Castle Black, and moreover take over the duties of manning the wall, at least until it comes down, because they want to fight against the White Walkers. They don't really want to live under the rules of the Seven Kingdoms, and the wall is kind of like the last frontier where you're not really bound to a lot of the rules of the Seven Kingdoms. Like, no one's going to go to the wall just to go there. Like, you have to have a reason to go to the wall if you're not part of the Night's Watch. So, yeah, I think it's very possible that they could do that. I could see that being, a major part of the story, with the wall now being controlled by wildlings. So let's take it back to King's Landing. So we already know Myrcella is dead. She's not dead in the books, but we have a situation now where, because of Cersei's walk of shame, the High Sparrow is really trying to repress her. He is basically threatening Tommen to kind of keep her in line to a certain extent. And, if Myrcella dies before Tommen, will Tommen keep her away from the funeral? And I'm going to say no. I don't think that the High Sparrow in the books is that overzealous as much as he is in the show, to the point where if Cersei's daughter died, he's going to be like, all right, well, yeah, you can't even attend the funeral. Like, I hate you and your sinning ways so much you can't even attend your daughter's funeral. Like, no, I think that he would look at that as kind of an affront to the gods if he were to do something that seemed to be so vain, because like that to me is the height of vanity, when you just go out and say, all right, well, you know what, because I have the power to do this, because I have the power to put you down, I'm going to put you down every chance I get and in any way I possibly can. And don't get me wrong, High Sparrow in the books is, he's still kind of a dick, but not as much as he is in the show. So I'm gonna say no. I don't think that that if Myrcella were to die, that he would keep Cersei away from the funeral. Another thing, will Sir Robert Strong go around basically, beating the shit out of random people who talk badly about the Queen? You know what? This one, yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I could see that happening. Now, someone asked me uh earlier, like, well, how did he know about that one dude in the show that was talking smack about the Queen, and wouldn't they have seen him walking around and like he's too big not to be noticed? But if you remember in season 1, when Ned is walking with Littlefinger and Littlefinger is pointing people out, he's like, hey, you know what? Everybody, if you have enough power, has spies. and he pointed out one of Cersei's spies. And I would have to believe that even though Cersei has had a fall from grace, that she hasn't lost everything. So, nah, it was probably, somebody that she has spying for that went back and told her, hey, yeah, you got people talking shit about you. So, yeah, I do believe that we could see Robert Strong just going around and just randomly killing folks for talking bad about Cersei and what happened with the Walk of Shame. And so, last but not least, we're going to go back to the Wall. So, Jon Snow's resurrection. Is this how it will happen in the books? I'm going to have to say no. Listen, I know we know that Melisandre in the books, she sees Snow in the fires and et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of stuff that kind of references to Jon Snow, and she's, drawn to him, even though she's not 100% certain why. But in the books, she's still backing Stannis, right? So I don't think that the resurrection of Jon will happen in this manner. I don't think that his resurrection will actually be deliberate. I think that his resurrection will be by accident. It's going to be, I think the catalyst for his resurrection will be the pink letter. I think that either Selyse or Melisandre or both will read the letter, and one will convince the other that Shireen needs to be burned because, remember, in the pink letter, it says that Stannis is dead, right? And you got to think about it. Melisandre and Selyse at this point are both thinking Stannis is Azor Ahai, right? So, look, you know what? He can't die. He's the Lord of Lights champion. We need to bring him back so he can finish off this battle. And one of them will convince the other that we need to burn Shireen in order to bring Stannis back. I don't think Stannis will be dead when they actually do it. And the unintended consequence of them doing this will be the resurrection of Jon Snow. So, those are my thoughts for episode 2 of season 6, and whether or not some of the more major events that have happened in this episode, will they happen in the books, or even will they happen in the same manner? You guys let me know what you think. Do you think that I could be right? Am I totally off base with this stuff? And I will be back next week with another one of these. Like I said, I'm going to be doing these for every episode with all of the major events that have not happened in the books as of yet. Or if they have happened, off screen, will we get to see an explanation of the truth behind some of the stuff that have led to more speculations? All right. So, as always, you already know what the deal is. Rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, come back for more. That's been my time, and this is Don Willie saying, Vela de Iris.